Hello everybody and welcome to another week of Makers Monday. I am Anastasia Radloff, aka Stampin' Blondie, and I'm excited to be here with you for another week of live step-by-step crafting. Now I hope you all had an amazing weekend. Let me just make sure that I'm live here over on Facebook. I'm also live over on YouTube as well. So if you're watching on either one of those, comment, say hi, let me know where you're watching from. It's always fun to see where everybody is joining me from each week. All right, looks like I am good over on Facebook and on YouTube, so we are good to go on both of those. Now, like I said, I hope you guys had a great weekend, Easter weekend if you celebrate. Last week was my husband's spring break from his schooling that he's going to here in Rhode Island, and so we made the most of it and did a couple day trips around New England. We went to Salem, Massachusetts and Mystic, Connecticut. It was really fun to visit those places. We stopped by Minuteman National Historic Site, where the Battle of Lexington happened 250 years ago this past Saturday. They had a huge reenactment, so that was cool to see the location. We did a walking tour in Salem. We went to stop by Mystic Pizza. We had brought our dog Leia with us. She's almost 17, so we wanted to bring her along with us, and unfortunately they didn't allow dogs inside. They didn't have any outdoor seating, so we went to a different location, but we got to see Mystic Pizza and just spend some time exploring New England before we leave at the end of June. Now, hello April, hello Carol, Nancy, Corinne, Dawn, Barb, hello everybody. I hope you all had an amazing weekend as well. Now today I'm going to be creating 3 projects featuring the retiring 2023-2025 in colors. Now these 5 colors debuted 2 years ago in 2023, and every year Stampin' Up! Debuts 5 colors, new colors, and retires 5 colors. They stick around for 2 years and they're meant to complement our core color families, which are brights, subtles, regals, and neutrals. And they're a perfect way to add color into those spots where we may be missing some color coordination. Now these 5 colors, I will admit, aren't my favorite, but that's because I tend to gravitate towards more bright and bold colors, where these are more of muter, darker colors. Now, I will say, even if they aren't my favorite, I am going to be missing 2 of them, which during the fall is my favorite time to do crafting. And 2 of the colors, Copper Clay and Wild Wheat, are perfect fall colors for crafting. So I am really going to miss those 2 colors. And Pebbled Path, it's a really good neutral color as well. So, hello Maggie, I hope you had a great weekend. So we're gonna go ahead and swap the camera. I have a couple of things to go over before we get started on our projects today. So let's go ahead and swap it out. All right, now like I mentioned, today I'm featuring the 2023-2025 in colors. Now these 5 colors, Moody Mauve, Copper Clay, Wild Wheat, Boho Blue, and Pebbled Path, are the colors that are leaving us and the products that coordinate with those items, such as ink pads, refills, Stampin' Blends, Stampin' Write markers, any embellishments, ribbons, cardstock, designer series paper. All of those that have that color will be retiring. So these items are while supplies last. Now some of them already are sold out, such as Wild Wheat cardstock, Boho Blue cardstock. Because they announced these being retired at the beginning of April, by now some of the products have retired, but I do have a link in the description of this video that you can click on, and it takes you straight to the Stampin' Up! Store, and you can see all the items that are still in stock. Now some of these items are discounted, like the Wild Wheat Stampin' Blends are I think $6.60, normally $11. So some of them are on discount, some of them are not. It'll tell you on the website which items are. But these items are while supplies last or until the annual catalog retires. May 5th is the last day for this catalog. So you can, like I said, click on that link in the description of this video and it can take you straight to the retiring colors. Now, like I mentioned, every year Stampin' Up! Retires 5 colors, but then they also debut 5 new colors. And these are the 5 colors that are coming May 6th when the new annual catalog starts. Now, we have Strawberry Slush, which is actually a returning in color. This color debuted in the 2013-2015 in color collection. So Strawberry Slush is coming back. Timid Tiger, Darling Duckling, Cloud Cover, and Secret Sea are the 5 new in colors that are coming. Now, every year I do an annual in color club. So In Color Club is a great way to budget your purchases over 5 months. So each month we focus on one of the colors, and in that month you'll receive all of the brand new coordinating products for that color. So you'll receive a full package of cardstock, the ink pad, refill, Stampin' Write markers, Stampin' Blends, embellishments, and any other kind of like ribbon specialty items for that color. So after 5 months, you'll have all of the brand new in colors for this new collection that's debuting. Now, the deadline to register for my In Color Club is coming up. This Friday is the last day to register. Now, the link in the description of this video, you can click on that, see everything that's included, and you can sign up. And right now, you don't have to pay anything. You just sign up to reserve your In Color Club kit, and then next week, I'll be in touch for payment. So this is my 6th year that I've been doing In Color Club. It's really fun to see all of the products laid out, all coordinating with each other. On that link, there is a picture of my previous year's In Color Club, so you can see what you'll get. Now, obviously the items have changed, like embellishments and ribbon won't be exactly the same, but you'll get the overall feel of what is included each month in your In Color Club kit. So deadline to register is coming up this Friday. So if you're interested in Color Club or you have any questions, reach out to me. I'd be happy to answer any of those. But our 2025-2027 In Color Club deadline is this Friday. Now, last week I debuted my May Club Craft and Create featuring the Turtley Awesome stamp set. Now, this is the stamp set that I featured last week during Makers Monday, so you can go back and check out that video on YouTube. So May Club's Craft and Create, what is it? You get 4 projects to each of those designs for a total of 8 cards. You get designer series paper, embellishments, ribbon, envelopes and all the cardstock to put together your projects. Now, unfortunately, there are no stamped images in our kits due to Stampin' Up! Rules, but you can add on the Turtley Awesome bundle to your class kit if you'd like. So here is kind of the sneak peek of the projects that we'll be making. Very green this month with our turtle theme. You receive the supplies to create the 8 projects. Now, like I said, if you don't want to order the bundle to add it on, you can substitute the images of the turtles with what's in the designer series paper. So if you like that, there's a link in the description of this video. You can learn all about Club Craft and Create. Now, unfortunately, May is my last Club Craft and Create, just until the end of this year. That is because I am moving overseas to Korea. And so in June, all of my stuff will be packed up, and who knows how long it'll take to get my stuff overseas. So once I'm settled and ready to go, Club Craft and Create will be back. It's just gonna go on a summer hiatus. So this will be the last one for a bit, and then it'll pick up probably like when I moved here to Rhode Island last year. I stopped in May and I picked back up in September with holiday cards. So I'm fingers crossed hoping that I can start back up in September and we'll start again with holiday projects. So Club Craft and Create deadline to register for our Turtley Awesome projects is May 8th. Again, link in the description with all of the details. All right, last thing before we jump into our projects, the 2025-2026 annual catalog, I just got them delivered earlier today. So I will be packaging those up and getting them out here. I'm doing stuff a little bit different this year. In the past, if you had registered for a class or you had attended an event, you automatically received a catalog. This year, I'm doing things a little bit different because some of you are already demonstrators or you have a main demonstrator that you work with. So I'm only sending catalogs to those that sign up on my link. That is just to save on shipping so you don't get double catalogs, and I really truly get those into the hands of those that want them. My catalogs are free. I do not charge for catalogs, but you do need to fill out the catalog registration. Link in the description of this video, and it has all of the details on how to sign up for a catalog. I am very excited. Now I can't show you the inside of this until May 6th when it debuts, but I can show you the outside and how pretty it is. So just if you were wanting a catalog this year and you're not working with another demonstrator, you're not a demonstrator yourself, feel free to fill out that form and I will send you one. Carol, your son was stationed in Korea years back, and Melissa's son-in-law was stationed there too. So everybody that I have heard of that has been there or has known somebody that has been there has absolutely loved it. I'm nervous, of course. I was nervous when we moved to Italy because I had never been out of the country prior to that. And then when we came back, I did not want to come back to the States. So I'm a little nervous, you know, culture change, worrying about the language barrier, you know, those kind of things. But I am excited to travel that side of the world. I have never been that way. I've only been east to Europe, so I am excited. And yes, the time sure did go by fast. We got here July of last year, and now we're leaving. We knew it was only going to be a year here in Rhode Island. So very excited, but very nervous. We will see how it goes, but I am excited. I will be still doing Stampin' Up. I know I've had quite a few people ask me that. I still can do Stampin' Up. I still will be doing Makers Monday. Granted, it'll be Tuesday morning for me, but Monday evening for you guys. But I'll still be continuing. It'll just change a little bit, but we'll still be getting creative together. All right. Today, like I said, I am featuring the 5 colors that are retiring: Moody Mauve, Copper Clay, Wild Wheat, Boho Blue, and Pebbled Path. Now, these 5 colors have been around for 2 years, so we've made plenty of projects with them, but I wanted to really highlight the colors themselves, not a specific bundle or stamp set like I normally do with Makers Monday. Of course, I forgot to do Prize Patrol. Why do I always forget Prize Patrol? You know, I'm glad I remembered before we jumped into our projects. Okay. 2 weeks ago, no, last week, we had Makers Monday last week. Last week for Makers Monday, our Prize Patrol was the Documenting the Day stamp set. If you're new here or you aren't too familiar with what Prize Patrol is, every week I give away a prize for sharing my video and commenting that you shared. It's that easy, that's all you have to do. Our winner for last week was Jean Hoffman. So Jean, I do not have your address, so if you could message me your address, I will pop this in the mail for you. So thank you for sharing my video. This week we have kind of a fun little ribbon pack. So we have 4 rolls of ribbon. We have, and I kind of went for a little theme here, kind of metallics, if you will see. We have 2 rolls of 1/8 inch silver and gold. We have the satin edged gold ribbon, and this is the braided ribbon with some gold threading between there. So all you have to do, comment that you shared, share this video, and you're entered into Prize Patrol. Super easy. And thank you to Jean for sharing my video last week. All right, now that I remembered to do that. Okay, so like I was saying, I really wanted to focus on the colors more than just a specific stamp set or bundle like I normally do. Now, of course, I use the same stamp set throughout all of these just because I wanted to keep it simple. Now, yesterday on my website and my blog, or my website, Facebook, and Instagram, I shared this project. This is using the alcohol ink technique, and if you have never done this technique, it is so simple. So what you do is you take Stampin' Blends markers. I took dark Moody Mauve, dark Wild Wheat, and dark Boho Blue, and you scribble just little lines on a piece of vellum. So I kind of mix the colors, and then what you need, the key ingredient, is 91% isopropyl alcohol. Now you cannot use, there's like a 73 or 76, 70-ish percent. It has to be in the 90s to make this technique work. So what you do is once you've scribbled on your piece of vellum, you take a cotton ball with a little bit of alcohol in it and you just dab along the lines of scribbles. Now I showed you pictures on my website of the different steps so you can see exactly how to do it and what it looked like before. It dries very quickly because of the alcohol and you know, it evaporates very quickly. And then the ink kind of spreads and you get these really fun different splotches on here. Now every product or project you do is gonna look different. The colors are gonna blend a little bit differently. So no two projects look exactly the same, which is great. So super simple project, but really a big wow factor on that one. So that's what I shared yesterday. Now the 3 projects that we're gonna create today, like again, focused on those colors. So here's one of the projects. It's kind of hard to see, but we're gonna do some embossing with the eyelet embossing folder featuring all 5 colors on this one with cardstock and ink. So we're doing Boho Blue and Pebbled Path ink. We have Wild Wheat and Pebbled Path on this project. With the little sewing machine here. And the reason I have the glass mat out today is because we're going to be doing some fun watercolor technique here as well. Now this uses copper clay, Wild Wheat, and Moody Mauve ink refills to create this fun splatter look. So we're going to start on the splatter part first and I'm gonna let that dry, and while that's drying we're gonna create a couple of the other projects and then we'll come back and finish with this one here. Now don't forget, each week I offer these as a class kit to go. Let me grab my kit here. So this is what it looks like. It comes with all of the cardstock that you need to create the project. Now you can fill in whatever stamp sets you want. There's no stamped images in here, but you can place an order of $35 on my website prior to shipping and tax, and I will send you this kit for free. Now I also have my tutorial here that has all of the supplies that I used. Now you may be saying, whoa, that is a lot of yellow highlighted on there. So everything that's highlighted on here is while supplies last. So I really wanted to show you like everything on this one project minus the blending brushes and Very Vanilla cardstock. I did not mean to highlight Very Vanilla cardstock, but everything else is while supplies last. So you can print this from my website, stampinblondie.com. It's dual-sided, it's free, and you can see all of the item names, numbers, and prices of the supplies that I used for every project here today. I'm just gonna push up my sleeves because we're gonna get a little bit messy here. Now, the stamp set that I'm using is the Crafting With You. This has been in the catalog for a while, so you may already have it, but when I looked today, unfortunately, it looks like the stamp set may be sold out. There are dies to coordinate with this, so there are dies on the last chance list, but it may look like this was already sold out. So you can substitute easily with, they're just different sentiments and images, so I really kind of kept it simple so you could easily swap it out with what you have already. Okay, so Crafting With You is what we're gonna use. And I'm gonna be using just, this is a cheap painter's palette that I picked up at my local hobby store. I've had it quite a while, but you may have one of these if you like to paint or do that kind of medium. If not, you can just use the top of a clear block for this part. But I am using those 3 colors of refills that I had mentioned, Moody Mauve, Copper Clay, and Wild Wheat. And we are gonna start with Moody Mauve, and I'm just adding 1 drop into one of the wells. So This is a great way to use your refills too. So copper clay here. They're not just for ink pads. You can use these as a watercolor medium as well. So kind of stretch your supplies and get the most out of them. So our wild wheat. Now I'm gonna take my water painter, and this is just filled with plain water, nothing exciting. And I'm just gonna add a couple of drops to each section to dilute our color a little bit. And I just have a microfiber towel here, and I'm going to put that off to the side for a minute. You'll want like a paper towel or some kind of towel to wipe off your water painter. These can be used with multiple colors. You'll just want to clean it off in between each color. So for our card, so here's what it looks like one more time. We're gonna take a piece of Fluid 100 watercolor paper and these are our Stampin' Spritzers. I just have regular water in here. You can put alcohol in these as well, but I just have water, and I'm gonna spritz my watercolor paper just to kind of get it a little bit wet first. Now with watercolor paper, you can spritz it first before you watercolor. You can watercolor it dry. It really just depends on how you prefer and want your color to look. Now, because I am doing like a splattering, I want it to be wet. So the spritzer is good because it helps control my water laying of the water on there. I don't want it too heavy-handed. So I'm gonna take my water painter here, and I'm going to dip it first in my Moody Mauve. And I have my glass mat because it's easy cleanup. And I'm just gonna take it and tap on my paper. You can kind of see where that ink is spreading there. So we'll start with Moody Mauve, and now we're gonna clean it off here on our paper. Well, this is just a microfiber towel. And then go into our copper clay, do the same thing. Just tap and then clean off our brush because you don't want your colors to mix. And I have another brush over here in case I use all the water in this one. Now our wild wheat. This one didn't pick up as much as I wanted it to. There we go. Now you can see how the ink is spreading in some places, but not all. So like right here, it's really good spread, but the rest of it is just kind of like splattering, and it's not really what we want it to do. So then we're gonna come in with our spritzer again, and then you can kind of just spritz the paper, and it'll get your ink going a little bit more. So you can take your water and kind of move it around, but in the sake of internet and being live, we're just gonna take our paper towel here and lightly dab to get some of that off, because we're gonna move all of this to the side so that it can dry while we work on the rest of our projects. So that's what it looks like with our fun little splatter technique. It's kind of like, it reminds me of like Easter egg dyeing, you know how you can kind of make them tie-dye now. So that's kind of what that reminds me of. Now I'm just gonna take this whole thing and I'm just gonna put this off to the side over here for a minute. I'm gonna clean out my brush so I don't forget. And I have a little platform over here, and then I'm gonna put it on so that I don't dump my ink everywhere. And we'll work on the rest of our projects while that dries. All right, and that's why I like the glass mat. You can just kind of pick it up and move it. It's really easy to clean off with just like a baby wipe. So we're gonna put this card off to the side, and we're gonna work on our other ones right now. So we'll do this project here. So wild wheat. When Wild Wheat was debuted, I would say it was it wasn't controversial, but it wasn't well liked because a lot of people said this looks like baby poo-poo. They were not a fan of this dark yellow color, but to me, it's more of like a dark stone ground mustard, like that really, you know, grainy mustard. And so I've liked Wild Wheat. It's really great for fall crafting, like I mentioned earlier. So with this card, we're gonna create our own pattern background here. You can see here with Wild Wheat ink. And we're going to use so this Crafting With You has this sewing machine stamp. So we're gonna use that and create our own designer series paper. Now there is designer series paper. Every year Stampin' Up! Releases designer series paper in our in colors. And I had it before the move. I have no idea if I donated it, where it is. I looked all over my craft room. I could not find it. So I said, I'm just gonna make my own designer series paper. So we're gonna use Wild Wheat ink and we're gonna stamp a couple of these sewing machines across the paper. This is always a good way to use your supplies. You don't have to have everything in the catalog to create a really fun project. Like I said, I had the designer series paper. I remember making projects with it. I did not use the entire thing. I don't ever use an entire package of designer series paper, but I don't know what happened to it in the move. I don't know if like I said, I donated a whole bunch of things when we moved, and so somebody else may be enjoying it right now. So we used our Wild Wheat and we're gonna put that off to the side. And I'm gonna clean this off because we're gonna use it again with a different color of ink. So you always wanna make sure you clean off your stamps in between. All right. Good morning, Rosemary from Tasmania. Oh, I just watched a show about some people in Tasmania. It was Alone. I love the show Alone. If you've never heard of it, they take these wilderness experts and they put them in like a location and they can only bring like 10 things with them. And whoever survives the longest wins the competition. And just the creativity of the people, with 10 things, they can't bring like a gun. In Tasmania they couldn't even bring a hunting bow. They had to trap all of their animals. So it was a very it just is crazy to think all the people what they make. So if you haven't checked out that show, Rosemary, I highly suggest it. Okay, so we've got our designer series paper that we created with our sewing machines, and I have a piece of basic white cardstock. This is die cut with the Spotlight on Nature dies, and we're gonna use Pebbled Path ink and that same sewing machine stamp, and we're gonna stamp it right there in the middle. Oops, there we go. Now that will lighten up. You can tell the difference here, how dark it looks compared to each other. It'll definitely lighten up as it dries. But we're also going to stamp a strip of Wild Wheat with the sentiment that says, sending you a handmade hug. And we're gonna stamp this with our Pebbled Path, and it'll go towards the right-hand side of our card. Just like that. And we can close this up. So Rosemary, we watched it on, gosh, what did we watch it? Was it Discovery Plus, Hulu? I don't know. It's called Alone, Australia. So if you just search for it, you should find it on something, but definitely a good show. Okay, so we're gonna take our stamped image here, and I put away my Stampin' Blends earlier. So this is how we're gonna do this. I forgot that I needed my Stampin' Blends for this, but I'm just gonna take my aqua painter and just do some splatter on here instead of the Stampin' Blend. So come on, give me some splatter. There we go. Perfect. Get some water. So if you forget and you put your Stampin' Blends away, but you still need a little splatter, you can do the same thing. Oops, there we go. The same thing with the ink that we just did. Okay, vellum. Now, if you've never worked with vellum, it is a semi-opaque paper. It is kind of hard to glue down. Whatever glue you use can show through. So I found this scrapbook adhesives. It's, I think I got it at a local craft store that starts with an H and ends in a lobby. It is specific vellum adhesive. So when you add it on, you don't see the little glue pieces. So we're just gonna add some little bits of that. And then when you add this to your paper, it'll just magically run into the background. Now you can use a liquid glue and a sponge and kind of dab it on your cardstock, but I found it takes a little bit longer to dry, but this is really good vellum adhesive. So I try not to use too much stuff that's not Stampin' Up! Because I really like their products, but this vellum adhesive is really good. All right, we're gonna add on our strip of Wild Wheat Sentiment across the front here. And just glue that right on. And then our sewing machine that we splattered, we're gonna add on with dimensionals to get a little pop up here. Hello, Kay. Thank you for sharing. Hello, Jill. All right, that is gonna go there. Now I have these in color dots that I'm gonna use. We're gonna do some Pebbled Path, and I'm gonna take, they're flat, so they're really good, and they're kind of like iridescent a little bit. We're gonna take 3 of the medium-sized gems, and we're gonna add that there. And that's our first card featuring the 2023-2025 in colors that are retiring. This one features Pebbled Path and Wild Wheat. So 2 colors that work really well just by themselves, but that is our first project while we let our watercolor project over there dry in the meantime. All right. Hi, Diane. I hope you had a great day today. Okay. Our next project, we have this one here. I'm gonna bring it up so you guys can see the little texture on there. So this one features Very Vanilla and all 5 of the in colors. So I wanted to do one project that featured all 5 of them. And so this, these little strips of cardstock are a really great way to use up any scraps you may have, or just, you know, kind of get rid of some little pieces of paper. So these are all a 1/2 inch wide. They're different lengths because I just use scraps that I had in my room here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna lay them down first, we're gonna glue them down, and then we're gonna emboss through the embossing machine. So we are going to take our liquid glue, and I like liquid glue for this because it helps me line everything up where I need it to be. Gives me a few minutes to move it around. Now, normally I kind of lay everything out, make sure my spacing is good. But the first thing we just need to do is lay down that one, and then we can add our strips right up against this one here. So we're doing Moody Mauve, Copper Clay, and Wild Wheat going vertical. So you want to do these 3 first. And then the next two are gonna go horizontal. So we've got our boho. Let me just make sure this one's straight. There we go. And then our pebbled path right on top of that one. And you can see how fast this even comes together too. Even if you don't want to run it through the embossing machine, there's your layout right there. You trim it down, glue it, and you're good. So it's very simple to put together, and this can be done in a wide variety of colors too. So our first thing we're gonna do next is trim up all of the edges. So we want it to be flush with our card base here. I use these scissors specifically when I have glue that maybe I put too much on there or I extended it a little too much. So these are my gunky scissors that have all the glue stuck to them. But you just trim it all up, and then you have your layout here for the strips that we put on there. And then this is all recycle. There we go. All right, so now we're gonna take this and run this through our embossing machine. Now I chose to use, let me grab it here, the eyelet embossing folder. Kind of see the texture there. And all of the Stampin' Up! Embossing folders have this black line at the bottom, and I like to use that as my guide to line up my paper for where it will go, and now it's straight when I run it through the machine. Now we are going to need the big Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine for this one, because this embossing folder is too big for the mini machine. So we have our big machine here. Now when you're embossing, you need base number 1 and plate number 4. It tells you this is a 3D embossing folder, so it tells you right there exactly how to layer your sandwich. Okay, we're gonna run this through. Always put it with the fold going in the machine first. And get that out of the way. And then you come out with this really pretty textured paper. Now, if you wanted to, you could even take a Stampin' sponge or a blending brush and kind of rub ink on the raised areas, but we're not going to do that for this project. We are going to do blending on a different part. So this sentiment piece here started out as very vanilla. I forgot what I was going to say there. Where is that piece? I die cut it and I saw it in here earlier. Where did it go? Where did it go? Did I drop it? No. I literally saw it in that thing earlier. I just had that sentiment piece. Let me just make sure I'm not losing my mind and I'm missing it, because I can't find it, and it was literally just in this piece here. I don't know where the sentiment piece went. Did it drop? I don't think so. I didn't drop it. Okay, well, we're gonna move on. We're still gonna do some, you know what, we can just die cut a piece. Textured notes. Okay, so we're gonna die cut a new one. So I'm using the Textured Notes dies, and I think I have Very Vanilla down here. Let's see. I put all my paper. Yep, it's right here. Very Vanilla. Okay, we're just gonna make a new one. We're just gonna cut a new and die cut it. And I can use the mini machine for this. My luck though, as soon as I re-die cut this, we're gonna find the other one. That's okay. So, mini machine to the rescue. But you get to see these fun new notes. These are the Textured Notes dies. These are from the online exclusive. Look at all those fun rectangles. I love this. This is probably my new favorite die set because I didn't even buy the stamp set. I just bought the dies. I really like the dies for this one. All right, perfect. We're back in the game. We have our die cut piece. You can see the really fun texture on the outside. Watch, I'm telling you, as soon as I put all of this away, I'm gonna find that other little piece. It just always works like that. Okay, so we are going to blend some ink on here. So I have my grid paper. We're gonna use Boho Blue ink and a small blending brush. First though, I want to stamp my sentiment. So the sentiment says, life is better when you're crafting, and ain't that the truth? We all love crafting. It's just fun. I enjoy a variety of mediums. So I'm gonna stamp that right in the middle. I may go off screen. I just wanna make sure that I'm in the middle there. There we go. So we've got our sentiment, and we can close this up. And we're going to take our Boho Blue with our small Stampin' Brush, blending brush, and swirl it in the ink pad. You just want to lightly tap it off your paper, on your paper, and then blend the outside. So because these dies have those kind of texture around the outside, it's really gonna make that color pop on here. So blend, tap. And with these blending brushes, you can really build the color up as dark as you want. But we're just gonna add a little bit of color on here. Oh, got a little heavy-handed on that corner, but that's okay. There we go. Quick and simple, and then it's just not so plain. Because we're using that very vanilla card base color, I didn't want to have a very vanilla sentiment piece just because it really would get lost in the background here. So we're gonna glue our embossed piece that we ran through the machine with the eyelet embossing folder. We're going to glue this down to our card base. Because I am gluing embossing an embossed piece of paper, I like to use my liquid glue. It really helps get into the grooves of the embossed and really help it stick a little bit better. Right, our sentiment is gonna go on with Stampin' Dimensionals. We're gonna use these little outside pieces here. There we go. There we go. Yeah, Corinne, those dies are so fun. I've used them a lot. Like I said, probably my new favorite die set right now. And that's gonna go there. Now we have the Pebbled Path textured ribbon, and we're gonna use this to tie into a bow. And I'm gonna add this on with a mini glue dot. This textured ribbon's a little wide. It's, I think it's probably like a 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch. What is it? 3/8, I was wrong. 3/8 of an inch. It's a little wide and kind of hard to tie into a bow. There we go, got it to pop through. And pull it tight. And you really want to trim this one at an angle just because these do fray quite easily. Here we go. We're gonna add this on with a mini glue dot right below our sentiment. And we're gonna come in with 3 of the Moody Mauve dots. So we really focus on all 5 of those colors for this card. And that is our second project today, featuring all 5 of the 2023-2025 retiring ink colors. Again, you can easily swap these out for whatever color you want for your projects. These are just 1/2 inch wide strips of paper. They're just scraps that I used. And then you can emboss it if you want. You can leave it how it is, but it's really easy and simple to put this project together. All right, we are going to bring back in our last project that we worked on. Let's get some of this stuff out of the way so we can put that all back together. So as you remember at the beginning, we used our refill ink with our aqua painters to create this really fun splattered technique. Now, depending on where you live, your paper may dry quite instantly. I remember when I lived in Tucson, I wouldn't even have to put this off to the side. It was so dry there, the climate was so dry, I didn't even have to wait for it to dry. Now here in New England, this paper is a little damp, but it's dry enough to put the project together. So just depends on where you are is the type of drying time you're gonna have to do. So we have our piece of paper here, and we're gonna get our kit. So for our card base, here's our project as a reminder. We have Moody Mauve for our card base and Wild Wheat for our mat. So Moody Mauve and Wild Wheat were the two on this one. We had Wild Wheat and Pebbled Path on the other project, and then all 5 on that last one we just did. Now this I'm just gonna glue to my card base, and because we have the liquid glue out, that's what I'm gonna use. And now with this piece of watercolor paper, I am going to definitely want to use liquid glue on this. This will really help it stick down a little bit better. And when I glue this on, I am going to take, I've got these right here, stay, Clear Block E. So we're gonna put that down, and Clear Block E here too. And that's gonna help it bond to the papers with the glue, but then also kind of keep it flat. Because you have the watercolor paper is still kind of damp, it can curl. You can see this one, it's not all the way straight. It did curl a little bit after it dried. So you can just kind of, you know, bend it backwards and it'll be flat still. But it will tend to curl as the paper dries a little bit. While that is off to the side, we're gonna work on our sentiment here. We're gonna do the one that says, "You inspire me." And this is just gonna be in regular Tuxedo Black ink. Cindy says, Moody Mauve and Boho Blue were the only two I really like. I think I got Pebbled Path too. Yeah, like I said, Pebbled Path was a great neutral. I'm just gonna stamp this. I may be off screen a bit for a second. Copper Clay, Wild Wheat were great for fall. Moody Mauve was good for really springtime too, with mixture with purples. It's just, Boho Blue was really good too. I'm gonna miss Boho Blue. Okay, so we've got our sentiment down. Now we're going to take these off and we're going to stamp this. The stamp set has this big like canvas, and this flower is separate, so you can kind of swap it out. You could put like the knitting, the paint brushes, you could really kind of mix and match, but I'm just gonna do this whole image and we're gonna stamp the flower in Moody Mauve. So we're gonna stamp first our easel, just in regular Tuxedo Black ink. And this is why you really want to make sure it's dry too, because the Tuxedo Black, it's a water-based, so it can bleed a little bit if you have your watercolor paper too wet. Now, this stamp set, when you go to stamp it, it's kind of hard to see. It doesn't fill it in all the way. Like this one looks like I may have missed some of the color. That's how it's supposed to be. So it's not like I didn't stamp it hard enough, but it's not meant to fill in all the way. Now we're gonna stamp the flower. Where is my flower? Right here. We're gonna stamp that in Moody Mauve. And I just chose Moody Mauve because I wanted it to coordinate with the rest of my card. And we want those two little flowers to go in the corner here. So I didn't stamp it right in the middle because we want our sentiment to overlap our canvas. That's gonna go on with dimensionals here, right there. Oh, my stomach's making noises. I ate dinner. I don't know why it's making weird noises. Hopefully you guys can't hear that. Also, I have all these like random bruises. I think it's from Beans because he likes to jump on me. And like I have a bruise there, I have one there on my legs. He just, you know, he's a puppy, so he's crazy. We're never getting a puppy again though. Never again. All right, and we're gonna add some of the wild wheat little gems on here, and we're gonna do 2 of the medium size right here in the upper left to coordinate with our cardstock that we used for our mat. And there is our last project featuring the 2023-2025 Retiring in Colors. Now you can really see each project, just like that alcohol one that I showed earlier, each one is going to be different than the next. So you're not gonna have the same project every time you make this, and that's what I really like about these techniques. Each one of these is one of a kind, handmade work of art that you're not gonna find anywhere else because they're always going to look different. All right, so let's bring in our 3 projects that we worked on today, and you can let me know in the comments which one is your favorite. We have our watercolor technique background, our sending a handmade hug, or the project with all 5 of our colors. So let's get them all in the shot there. Let me know which one is your favorite. I think my favorite one this week, I don't know, it's a toss-up between these 2. I really like how I created my own pattern paper, but I really like the watercolor background on this one. So let me know which one is your favorite this week. All right, well, thank you everybody for joining me for another week of Makers Monday. Don't forget, Friday is the deadline to sign up for my 2025-2027 In Color Club. All the details can be found in the link in the description of this video. I hope you all have an amazing week.